You said put a pin in the Elon discussion.
So
what is that about for you?
I am hoping for the success of Elon Musk in doing this. I would just say, if you look back at the history of rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, back to Elaine K. Mark and reinventing government as part of the Clinton administration, and so on and so forth, this is an example where it's really easy to say, it's really hard to do. I wish him and them.
Somebody who knows this stuff.
Yeah.
What is on the table and what's not on the table?
Because everything that looks wasteful is typically there for some kind of reason, and it's got some kind of constituency that is protecting it. So it is. It's like raising taxes, the same thing. It's easy to say, but then when you get down to the details.
But in terms of not through just executive action, but within departments that have to hire or not hire, they can choose not to hire people, right? There are certain things they can do, and then there's certain things they can't do.
Oh, in terms of, executive order and regulatory versus legislative, they can do a fair amount just through executive order.
And how much cutting could you do that way? What do you think the upper bound limit of cutting just from an executive action perspective is possible?
All right, so let's back up here and just remind ourselves that the vast majority of government spending is in entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not talking about that. So then you have to carve out the Defense Department. Not clear what. Now, the whole Defense Department, the way we invest in the military probably does need to change. I think there's a real concern, and maybe the new administration can get to the heart of this, about whether we're investing in the right types of systems, whether we're tech savvy. But put defense to the side. The problem is you're down to such a small share at that point of overall government spending that even if you take 10 or 20% off of it, you're not really denting the overall trajectory.
Eamon brought up the other day these ideas of civil service protections. What does that prevent you from doing? What does that allow you to do?
So this was, again, I think it's a little bit unclear exactly what will happen here, but let's remember the civil service protections were put in place in order to protect the professionals of the federal government from undue partisanship and political interference. Now, the counter argument that Trump folks will make is that perhaps the bureaucracy has kind of drifted to have a particular political view, and that was not the intention of those protections.
Okay, let me ask you, as somebody who was a former person serving in the Obama administration, but somebody who's running an investment bank right now, how do you feel about this election? Your party didn't win, but you were dealing with
I think I made my personal views clear, but the election, as we were talking about right before we went on, was crystal clear. Democracy has spoken, and I'm focused on helping our clients navigate the new environment.
You told me you were excited and it might actually be better.
For our business, temporarily, yes. I think that's true.
Okay. I took that as a win.
You were happy with that.
I took that as a win.
Yes.
You mentioned immigration. We've been discussing immigration at the table, both in terms of the humanity of just how this all gets executed, but also the inflationary pressures that it could create. By the way, hopefully the offsets, because I got a text from somebody saying, what about all the money that we're spending, giving out debit cards and other things in New York and other places. Obviously, I think you're part of the Partnership for New York and others that are trying to work on this immigration problem. Do you think there's going to be an inflationary effect? Are we going to see stories in 3 months from now about how restaurants can't find enough folks in the back office, how golf clubs are going to be shutting down, or their costs are going to go up?
This is a good example of my point about campaign versus governing. We'll have to see exactly how far this goes. I think it remains to be seen. But if you did, even if it were justified, and I think I understand the
I'm not arguing it's not justified. I'm talking about the economic implications.
The narrow effect of removing a significant part of the workforce is to put upward pressure on wages and therefore inflation. I mean, that's, I think, clear. That doesn't mean you should or shouldn't do it. It's just that's one of the consequences.
Well, what do you hear from people? Were there deals that were awaiting to be done, determined by the election? Are there people who are all of a sudden like, yeah, we're moving ahead with this deal. We've been kind of talking about it, thinking about it, and now game on? I'd
say up until maybe 2 or 3 months ago, that wasn't really happening. But in the last couple of months, it made sense for people to say, look, this is a good idea, but why don't we wait? Right. Well, no, either way, but why don't we wait and see what the environment's like, and we may present it slightly differently. And yes, we are extremely busy now.
So what does that tell you about deal activity for next year?
We were already in a cycle where the M&A was picking up, partly because private equity was coming back onto the playing field, So this is just accelerating what was already a rapidly developing M&A cycle.
Financials, I assume you think that there are going to be a lot of small bank mergers?
I hope so. I mean, for a while, as I've been pointing out, we needed to consolidate regional and community banks. The antitrust authorities were getting in the way of that. It makes sense to consolidate.
Clean energy companies that may no longer get subsidies, we'll see what happens. Do they end up having to merge because they're going to be more troubled?
Possibly. I mean, let's see. I mean, remember, a lot of the support goes to deeply Republican states. I mean, Texas is a leading example of it, so we'll see what happens there. But it is entirely possible that one of the sectors that's harmed here is the renewable.
And we've talked about the Fed a lot this morning, but do you have any view that there could actually be a court case brought effectively against the constitutionality of the Federal Reserve as constructed today as an independent entity, and whether it should be part of the executive branch, which is something that Mike Lee and now Elon Musk is endorsing, which is raising a question that I think was not on the table, or at least a lot of people's bingo card a week ago?
So I'd say two things. I mean, I always remember Paul Volcker once said, the Congress created us and the Congress can uncreate us. So this is an institution that was created by the Congress, and it doesn't need to exist. But the reason it exists and the reason it has independence is the evidence suggests that independent central banks produce better outcomes. So what I would say is, I think it's in President Trump's interest to have an independent Federal Reserve because it produces the evidence is overwhelming that independence for the central bank produces a better combination of inflation and employment, which is what you want.
Would the market freak out if it thought the Fed was not going to be independent? Or?
I think that would be, you asked earlier about what could be destabilizing. I think that could be destabilizing.
I have one last